Hi teachers, let's get started so that you can calibrate your third trimester ELA PTs. I imagine you are already at the local and state assessment site. I want to show you one difference. If you are a kindergarten teacher, you may have given the opinion, writing PT, or narrative, depending on your site, or if you are a K-1 combo teacher. Right underneath the resources to give the task, there's a box with the opinion calibration material, followed by a box for the narrative calibration material. So the material matches, it's just which text type you taught and then assessed third trimester. First grade teachers, when you scroll on the local and state assessment site's first grade page, after the resources to give the task are the resources to calibrate opinion writing only. And second grade teachers, it's the same, a box with the opinion writing calibration resources only. And welcome to our Spanish DI teachers. There is material available for those teachers in narrative and opinion writing as well. So let's get started. Today, in working with your colleagues in this brief time, hopefully you'll be able to access the tools, again, gain familiarity with the anchor papers, check for your own alignment with some example sets for practice scoring, a check set, and then reflect with an answer key. And I hope that you have time to work together on at least one piece of student writing from your own sets to see how calibrated you are together as a group. So you'll need for this time together one laptop to view the screencast, your own laptop to access the material that you'll use to read and practice with and score, the checklists or rubrics printed out. So those are documents 00 to 03 on all the grade levels. If you are more comfortable using the rubric that includes the language for all the levels of scores, you want to print out either item 00, 01, or 03 for your particular grade level. And if you still want to use the support of the checklists with the illustrations, then you want to print out item 03 that has the kindergarten, first, and second grade checklists on it. So hopefully you have those materials in front of you, either the rubric or the checklist. And you need a piece of paper to take your own notes on, scores, to check when you read the check set. Reminder that the checklists and the rubrics are identical in their content. They are only different in the support that the checklist provides with the visual. And some of us still really like that. So first, I'm going to ask you to click on the calibration guide for the performance task you gave. That is document number 1. Will you please spend about 10 to 15 minutes looking through the performance task in the calibration guide, the rubric or checklists for the traits to familiarize yourself with those, and the conventions chart that shows the grade level expectations for conventions in ELA at K, first and second grade. Go ahead and pause this screencast to do that work now. Thanks, teachers. So you are now familiar with the task. You gave it recently, so it's very familiar. And so there are exemplars for each text type at K1 and 2. That is document 2. So will you please click on that document that's either the opinion anchor set or narrative anchor set, and try to really read those documents closely to get a solid understanding of what pre-K through either second or third, depending on which grade level you teach. If you teach kindergarten, you may not want to read the third grade sample, and that's absolutely fine, but you may have a range of students in your classroom who may score at first or even second grade. But will you read through those on your own to really read closely to understand the difference between a kindergarten, first and second grade example of that type of writing? So please allow yourselves about 15 to 20 minutes to read through those anchor sets, and go ahead and do that work now. You can pause the screencast here. So thank you, teachers, for spending time doing that. Just a couple things to highlight. Elaboration and craft tend to be the two items on the rubric that are a bit more nebulous for a lot of us. So let's look at narrative elaboration. You saw in the pre-K example that the page was just filled with scribbles and letters and symbols. And that's because we credit preschool students in elaboration when they just fill up the page. Kindergarten elaboration in narrative specifically is the who, the what, and the feeling. And a good example of that was the swing story. She told who was there, what they did, how it felt. That is all that's expected at kindergarten for elaboration. First grade, that elaboration really moves into intentional work regarding trying to put that event from my head as I remember it onto the page in both pictures and words. Apple tree is a nice example of this concept. You saw the labels in the pictures, and they match the words that the writer used in the text to convey that experience. Second grade elaboration is really showing now details through the talk, through the actions, and that's going to center on the character, because in narrative, character is central to that. It's the experience of this character that's being elaborated on. Now in craft, let's go backwards from second grade in narrative. Craft really is word choice primarily, but that shows up at second grade level. So we expect second graders to choose strong words. And in that snowman story, that word destroyed, that's a strong word to convey that experience. We don't expect first graders to yet have that strong word choice. So backing up, we're asking first graders to really be intentional and use the labels and the words to give the details about the event. In kindergarten, it's drawing and writing some details. So if you look at it as far as K, the craft is really crafting the illustration. We're crediting the drawings as craft, and maybe there's also some writing that's intentional and crafted. But first grade, we're moving away from really using the drawings to craft into more of a word-based craft, meaning the labels and the words are more word-based. Whereas in K, we're crediting the drawing even with a craft element. So from kindergarten to second grade, craft moves from a visual in the drawings at kindergarten to a bit more word-based at first grade, labels and words, to second grade, strong words. So I hope maybe that helps with that understanding of elaboration and craft in narrative writing. Now, opinion, elaboration, and craft start in kindergarten with putting everything we think about this idea, our like or dislike, onto the page. And that showed up in that I like spring piece, especially that last page. She's just kind of putting everything she's thinking. I hope you like my story. You know, it's all her thoughts are going on there. First grade elaboration is at least one reason. Guinea pigs is a nice example of that. She really has more reasons than one. She's not really saying much about the reasons. She's just kind of listing these reasons, because in second grade, the elaboration needs to be not only multiple reasons, but really saying more about each reason. Now, craft in opinion writing at kindergarten. Again, let's think about the words, okay? Has details in the pictures and the words. So we're crediting again the drawing, the illustration, if there are even details there. That's what we are expecting 5-year-olds to do in terms of craft. In first grade, again, think about words. The labels and the words are being used intentionally to give details. We're moving a bit away from drawing for craft and making it more word-based. Second grade, choosing those strong words. So it lies there in word choice. As in that piece about my friend, the writer mentioned, we always do what I want. We always tell jokes to each other. So just choosing that word always and even a bit of repetition with that to make the reader agree with his opinion about that. It's really based there in the words. So I hope that helps with thinking about elaboration and craft in opinion writing. Now it's time for you to practice. There's that document too. So I'm going to ask you on the local and state assessment site to click on that document. My apologies. Nope, forget that. Go to document 3. You already looked at the exemplars. Will you look at the check set and really read those closely and do your best to score just with the areas that you are a bit more shaky with. So if it's elaboration and craft, try scoring just those 2 areas. Maybe it's transitions or organization or lead. Pick a couple areas in the rubric to practice and then use document 3 to read through and practice. Use document 4 to check your answers. That's the answer key. And try to give yourselves between 20 and 25 minutes to do that. So you can pause the screencast here and go ahead and do that work now. Thank you, teachers. So a reminder, scoring, very different than grading. You are scoring right now. You're reading this one piece of writing from the student, gathering the evidence from it, and then aligning it to the rubric to score it. Your grade for these students in writing may be very different from this one scoring experience, and that is absolutely fine. The score is not meant to dictate the grade. Hopefully, there's a bit of time for your grade level to work together with 1 to 3 random samples from the set that you have with you to work together and agree on some scores for those samples. It's really important that, especially at your sites, you look at this rubric in the same fashion. I know there's always a bit of disagreement, and that's good. So spend some time working together to agree on scores, maybe just for the tricky areas in 1 to 3 samples that you have with you, and try to take 15 to 25 minutes to do that. So you can pause the screencast here. Oops. Thanks, teachers. So I hope this time together has really increased your collaboration and understanding as a group about the text type that you gave to students and spent some time looking at together today. Sun has put in document 5 that allows you some quick access into Illuminate where you're going to enter the scores, remembering that we use A, B, C, D, E, F, maybe even G to enter scores into Illuminate for K-2. The last item I'm going to ask you to do is, as a group, will you decide on one writing sample from your grade level that's a good representation of below grade level at your site, at grade level, and above grade level. So kindergarten should submit 3 samples, the same with first and second grade. Would you please give those to your site IS, and they're going to share them with myself and Sun so that we can really see district-wide what our expectations are at each grade level, site to site, and how calibrated we are district-wide. Thank you as always. You have been working so hard all year and you're coming up to a break soon. If you have any questions at all about this process, the rubrics, the exemplars, the answer keys, please feel free to email me. And remember, please, that there are units fully developed for all text types at all grades on the literacy site with student examples, student checklists, rubrics, all kinds of mini lessons done for you, charts. I hope that you're taking advantage of those resources. I know how hard you're working day to day, and I wouldn't want you working on trying to develop your own units when there are units already there for you to use. Thank you, friends. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.